What's going on, everybody? This is Jake Wicker with Small Business Stand Up, and I got some great entrepreneurs on the call with us today. Lachey, introduce yourself, where you logging in from, and what you do, all that good stuff.
Yes, I'm happy to. So, my name is Lachey LaRue, and I am the owner of Cherish Investments. Cherish Investments is a business development and marketing agency. I basically help entrepreneurs to get to a marketable state with their business where they can take full advantage of their marketing efforts. So, from like we're going to talk about today, customer retention to building sales funnels to developing a brand story to creating the brand itself, from logo design, website design, just anything that a business needs in order to be sustainable is what Cherish Investments can help you with.
Excellent, excellent. Miss Danielle, tell us where you logging in from, what you do, and all that
All
good
right.
stuff.
I'm logging in from beautiful Birmingham, Alabama. I'm Danielle MacArthur. I'm the owner of DCDR Solutions, a small business entrepreneurship coaching company, which I focus on very similar to Lachey, but I focus on more of the standard operating procedures, root cause, teaching people how to address the problems that they will come across in business using a lot of different techniques and whatnot, and going over some of the fundamentals for people that are just entering into entrepreneurship. Very similar to what she said, making sure they have all those check boxes marked, make sure they're getting all the right systems and processes in place for their specific business to set them up for success and make sure that they are sustainable and can stand the test of time.
So it's safe to say you guys are very valuable in this market, or any market.
We would love to hope that everybody thinks that way.
Absolutely, man. I mean, the service that you guys offer, man. What kind of business? What business don't need you guys, though, right?
Exactly.
So
Right.
that's huge. Right on time, Miss Sheila. Tell us where you're logging in from, what you do, and all that good stuff.
I'm logging in from Saginaw, Michigan, and I am a coach and a consultant and do a little healing work with people as a therapist from Shaping Solutions.
Definitely valuable, man. You need some healing around this piece right about now. so, so today, man, we kind of really focusing on. I mean, anybody can take this information we're about to talk about today, but we primarily kind of focus on people who've been in the business, have the business for a few years now, right? So we're gonna talk a little bit about marketing and also customer retention. That's important.
Extremely
That's
important.
very important. So we're gonna kick this thing off here. I know some people are gonna kind of log in as we get started, but it's all good. So the first question, guys, is what's the difference between marketing and prospecting? Or is it a difference?
Mm, that's a good one.
That is
Um, so for me, I feel that there is somewhat of a difference in that prospecting can be a part of marketing, but not everybody necessarily looks at prospecting as marketing. And marketing can go way beyond just that. So a lot of times when you're prospecting, you're dealing with the person almost on a one-on-one basis, or at least in smaller numbers. But marketing can be something that goes as wide of a net as social media marketing, where you're dealing with the general masses, where you are still crafting your message to be specific to bring in an ideal client or your target audience, but these people are relatively nameless. But when you're prospecting, let's say, for example, me, my target audience are business owners. So when I'm prospecting, I'm going to go to small to medium-sized businesses with an employee range between 1 to 100 who are struggling with their marketing. So I may start my prospecting process by going on social media, looking at companies, seeing what their profiles look like, seeing if they are struggling, seeing if they have any tags or shared posts from their employees to kind of get a range. I may go on to LinkedIn. So you're looking specifically at individuals, whereas marketing can include that and so much more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would say it's like the difference between going fishing with a line, right, or with a net, right? So
Exactly.
so all right. Anybody want to add to that one?
Yeah, so I thought that prospecting was more, yeah, I would agree, one-on-one with an individual, trying to see, right, if they're a
Right.
good fit for the services that you provide. And it is more intentional, I think, because you are actually reaching out to that individual in a certain intentional way, where marketing can be more broader, right? Where you're just kind of sending this message out and waiting for them to come. Where you see a prospect, it's like, I want that person.
Mhm.
So let me reach out to them, because as the, as so, like for Shaping Solutions, if I wanted to work with a specific person, then I would go to that specific person and prospect them, versus just doing a marketing plan saying, hey, this is what I do, and allow those individuals to come to me. Would that be right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think so, because that's what I wanted to piggyback and expand on it, just to make sure everybody's paying attention, because I think it's critical, so who are you prospecting, because just like Lachey broke it down, I'm shooting for this block of window. I'm sure Sheila has, if I'm intentionally trying to help somebody or I want more focused clients, then I'm going to go attack this individual. So that's a very critical part of the business, is identifying who you're going to market to, but also who you will prospect.
And I think it's important for like the business that you're in too, because some people just say, if I had a clothing line or, some type of product, and I may go prospect the person, right? Because I feel like they have an influence and they probably could help me or my company do better, be better. So I will go and look for them and say, hey, can you come into my company, wear my shirts and things like that. So prospect, like I said, is more intentional. And I think it is good to, even in the beginning of your business, probably do more prospecting, because that's your audience. Those are the people that's going to talk for you. And if you're trying to grow really fast, then it's about being intentional. I know me and Lachey had a conversation earlier. Y'all know she be dropping them gems. So, bring her in and be like, hey, I need you to, help me. But one of the things she was saying was like, being intentional about who we are targeting,
Right.
so that they can help to send our message. Like for the affirmation challenge, who else is doing in the same realm of doing affirmations, and let's kind of connect with them in a very intentional way, so that they can also pass the word on. And so that would be more of an intentional prospect. So we'll be looking for other influencers that's around growth and things like that. And so we're going to go prospect them to see, like, hey, would you also share these affirmations,
Right.
with your audience?
Well,
Right.
here's some game for these real estate people out there who are looking to get into commercial. There's a software out there called Prospect Now. If you want to learn who owns what commercial building or whatever the case is, you can quickly pull up the owner's information, phone number, the whole nine, right? So, so Prospect Now is what that is, man. So the reason why I say this is because that's what I'm doing on prospecting. So when I give them a call, I know who the owner is. I got the phone number, everybody I need. You know what I'm saying? So I know if I'm dealing with a person who's going to block me or whatever the case is, I need to get around that person, like everything I need to know. So that's a little bit of game for all you real estate investors out there. So that's it. I ain't giving you no more.
You gotta pay for the rest.
Yeah, you gotta pay for the rest. Go ahead, Lachey. You got a
So I
comment?
was just going to say first that I love that you started off this entire discussion with that, because I feel like often people forget about prospecting because we are in such a social age. So people they're awake now to the importance of having a social profile, having a website, things like that. And they look at that as marketing, and then that's it. People often mistakenly say that cold calling is dead, email marketing is dead, when those are actually two of the best methods of marketing with much higher returns per dollar spent than social media marketing even can produce. Because if you think about it, there are people who prefer TikTok, people who prefer Facebook, Link. There's so many options, but everybody has an email. What do you need to sign up for any of those? An email address. So there are so many other ways that you can reach people that build stronger bonds. And we talked about this in a previous segment, that it's not about having 1 million followers and zero influence. It's
Right.
even if you have a small amount of followers, even if it's 1,000 or even smaller, 100 followers, but they are super active. They watch everything that you put out there. They're commenting on everything. They're sharing everything. They're purchasing. Because at the end of the day, we're in business. So you want to be able to have that influence. And what I was looking up on my phone, because I just finished a book called Fanatical Prospecting. I couldn't remember who the author was, but it's Jeb Blount. That book was amazing and really helped to kind of light that fire under my butt, because one of the key concepts he talks about is that we actually have to always be prospecting. And that's something that I myself have even made the mistake of going really, really hard, getting a bunch of clients. And then I'm like, oh, wow, I'm overwhelmed with all of this work. Let me stop on the prospecting. But then if you do that, you will always find yourself in a downward turn where you don't have as many clients. And usually it's going to take at least 3 months for you to get it back to where you want it to be.
Man,
You
that
start
is
marketing
that is
right
facts.
away.
That's,
Right.
That's
a
facts.
solid gem right there.
That's facts.
We have to always, and that I like that, because a lot of times we think that, oh, when you're new, you do it, because we all do that when we're new, when we want the business, when we need the business, we'll hit it really hard. We're taking advantage of everything, but we rest on our laurels. We get comfortable and we stop. We slow down, but that is the absolute worst thing that you can do.
Yeah.
And I never realized how detrimental that can be to business until I read that book. It was just like, oh, duh, that makes sense. Like how you end up in that situation, because you're like, I've definitely been working hard all year, but why is it that sometimes are better than others? Well, because it takes, so when you do all that work, which you're busy for that 3 month span, it's all the work from the 3 months of your marketing. So if you don't keep that going, you're not going to be able to build. You're not going to be able to scale. You're going to continue to have a roller coaster up and down. It's good, it's bad. It's good, it's bad. So,
And that takes a lot of energy too, right?
Exactly.
So it's like I was talking to somebody the other day, man. It's like if you ever ran out of gas and had to push your car, right? You know, when you first start, right, getting it going, but once it get to rolling, it gets easier. You know what I'm saying? So so if you got to continue to getting it rolling, getting it started, whatever, man, that can burn you out really quick.
Right.
So,
And I think that's a major key behind why so many businesses do not make it past their first year, past their 5th year. 90% of small businesses that start will close within 10 years. So I think within 10 years of them being founded, the majority of them not making it past the first year. And I feel like it's because of that, because they're doing this uphill thing and they're working hard, but they're not working smarter. They're just working harder. They're not being strategic. They're spinning their wheels. They're feeling overwhelmed and they're burning out. And they can't maintain. I mean, that's an impossible. When you really put into perspective, you realize, this makes no sense. I can't keep running up and down a hill when I could just run a straight path marathon.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about how those people who fall out in the first few years, how they can stay in business. Because some things that they can do, maybe they're not aware of it, but it's some things that they can actually do to keep them in business.
Yeah, and I think, and just to follow up with Lachey, I think that's momentum, right? Like you want to keep the momentum going. So you have to have different avenues. If it's just engaging customers because you're busy, but keeping in contact with them or sending out emails or keeping them updated, just keeping that relationship open so that when you get your dip, you can always have that relationship to follow back on. And I think that we don't do that. Once our caseloads get big or once whatever you're doing gets busy, we'll stop. And business is truly about momentum, and you build the momentum and then the momentum starts to work for you. And so you never want to kind of give that momentum up. Yeah. So that was a good point, Lachey.
Man, you guys y'all hit that out of the park.
Man. I was just about to say, and I'm sure that's going to lead to subsequent stuff about customer service and all of those other topics.
Absolutely.
You can't retain people if you ain't got customer service skills.
Absolutely.
Right. And if you having those, I think to your point, Danielle, having that back office where you're having your emails returned or some type of communication in place to make sure that you're, efficient on your end. And that is the importance of having a back office. And I think me and Lachey talked about that today as well.
And I think it's all connected. Like all of these things are not singular. They're not individual things that you need to do. If you're doing it right, you have them all and they're all connected, because prospecting, a part of it actually is customer retention, because the cheapest customer you're ever going to acquire is one that you already have. And people do not take advantage of that. Most people fail in the follow-up. The people who bought one product, but they could have very well bought your additional products or services that you offer if only they knew you offered that. Maybe this was someone that you worked with in the very beginning and you only had one service. For example, me, when I started off, I only did social media marketing. But now here we are, fast forward several years later, now I've got a full gambit of services that I'm able to offer small business owners. So I as a part of my prospecting, I'm going back to those people, filling out their businesses, seeing where they're at now, seeing if they have any needs within their business that I actually already have a service that I can provide to them. And that is one way to really 10x your bottom line. If you were to go back to your past customers and let them let them know, send out a simple email or a simple series of an email, because we want to get those multiple touches of just, hey, updates on me. This is what's going on with me. Ask them that simple question. Hey, what's going on with you? And it's not even that you have to have a super complicated system. You just have to have a system. That's it. The best CRM that you're going to use is the one that you use. So, because that's the question I get often too. People ask, oh, what's the best CRM? The one you're going to use. Because
that's everything. The thing that's going to
do it, and it doesn't work for you.
Yeah, we talked about this, is a selfish plug too, though. We talked about back office. That's one of the services that we offer for real estate investors, wholesalers, and things of that nature. So a lot of times they have full-time jobs and they're not able to do a lot of that back office stuff. So we already have a team set up that will take care of that by pulling comps, putting together multiple offers, sending in contracts, like all that stuff. So the person out there, that wholesaler that need a back office, let me know. We can take care of that for you. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and I don't think that people know how important that is. Just having an office. I remember being a therapist, just a short story before you go to, I remember being a therapist and having all that set up for me. So I get in, I get my folder, I see my client. And when I started my business, I didn't really realize how important the secretary was and how important, like, the call she made to the client the night before, and the making sure that the files were signed, and all of this back office stuff. So now I'm like scrambling, like, oh my God, it was a blind spot for me because all I did was therapy, and then when I opened the practice, it was like, wait, it's so many other things in this back office that needs to be done for the customer to feel like they got a full range of experience,
Absolutely.
Yes.
You can't neglect that.
And that's something that I try to help people understand, because I got one person I work with where, they're so focused on a head. And I said this before, it's like, okay, what if the one solid person you got goes? And then all of that. So it's like, just, getting that mind wrapped around those expansion points, because the expansion points happen over time. It's a continuous thing. Just like Lachey said, I started here, I'm expanding. Okay, what comes with that? The next expansion. Okay, do you have, like you said, do you have all your systems and your processes set up in place? All of that is tied to that growth and that sustainability.
Okay, man, phenomenal. All right, so we're gonna jump right into this next one here. So this next one has about 4 different things we're gonna pop out and see if you guys can answer all those. So we're gonna start with this, right? What are some key ways we should be marketing? Now this is important. We definitely gotta at least 4 different ways for sure, right? So the first one is, let me see here. Hold on, let me do this real quick. What do you guys think about that?
Digital marketing. Okay.
So when you say digital marketing, Jay, how are you defining digital marketing?
Everything when it comes to digital marketing. So,
on here because I'm technical like that. You gotta break that down, man.
Digital marketing can mean a lot.
Media, just on Google, like
yeah. I think maybe that's what he's asking though. What is most important? Like if you're getting involved in digital marketing, what are like the need to know things?
That's why she's here.
Okay. So what is, I guess, okay, let's Google it then. Let's Google it. Let's do that. Who my who the dictionary or the
Sheila
Google
got
person?
it. You
Okay,
know
let's go to digital marketing.
Digital marketing.
quick with the keys.
Yeah. So digital marketing, advertising, delivering digital channels to promote brands and connect potential customers using the internet and other forms of digital communication like search engines, websites, and social media.
I was gonna say, even when you Google that, it's gonna basically say everything on the internet. That's what.
Yeah.
So it was kind of hard for me to answer that because it's everything. You know what I'm saying? It was everything.
Okay, so I'll
Everything.
take a
So,
stab
yeah.
at it. I'll take a stab
Okay.
at it. Okay, so what I want to say first off is before you even consider any marketing, and this is something I know Sheila and I have talked about, you have to establish your brand story, know what your messaging is so that you can keep it consistent on all of your marketing, whether it is in digital, in print, in whatever type of marketing that you do. It all should stem from that same message. And the best analogy that I absolutely love when it comes to that, it's like when you think of your favorite celebrity, your favorite artist. Let's say you like Beyonce. Let's say you like Elton John, whoever it is, they are known for certain songs. Think about how many times they had to sing that same song over and over and over again. A lot of people feel like, oh, I have to be creative. I have to figure out all these different ways. I have to keep it new, keep it fresh. No, you don't. People still love Halo. Single Ladies is still a favorite song for plenty of people. And
Right.
if Beyonce was ever hired to do someone's birthday party, what is she going to do? Is she going to do her favorite songs from the album? Or is she going to do the ones that pay the bills for all these years? So that's essentially what your brand story is. So I want to make that clear. You start there and then you divert down into the different forms of marketing. So when it comes to digital marketing, you want to make sure that you develop a consistent online presence. So you want to make sure that on all social profiles, and if you have a website, they all have the same brand imagery. So you want to be using the same colors. You want to be using the same fonts as much as possible. You want to make sure that you're using the same logo. Some people had their website designed in the 80s, and now social media is a thing. So they've rebranded and got a new logo, but they never updated their old branding. So having consistent presence all across all digital media is really important. And you want to take advantage of the social media platforms wherever your audience is. A lot of times, small business owners will ask me, well, which platform should I be in? I know TikTok is really hot right now, and everybody seems to be on Instagram. It really just depends on the business. And I know everyone hates that question. So I'll go a little bit more into detail about that, about which platforms usually work better for certain companies. So if you are a B2B business, so if you sell a product or a service that's for other business owners, LinkedIn is going to be your absolute best friend. If you have a product or a company that's very visual, or you're trying to promote a personal brand, Instagram is going to be really helpful for you. Restaurants, Instagram is very helpful. Facebook, honestly, a little bit of everybody can benefit from it because it is one of the most established platforms with one of the largest networks, and they can do some amazing things when it comes to marketing. Conversely, a lot of people forget and they sleep on YouTube. YouTube actually can provide a lot of opportunities because unlike the other ones that are all very time sensitive, if you stop posting on your Instagram or your Twitter, you will find that you lose a lot of followers. You will find that you are not getting the same reach that you used to. Meanwhile, on YouTube, you can put a post up that happened 6 years ago, and all of a sudden people just find out about it, and now you're getting a lot of traction from that video, especially if you optimize it. So I think go for the platform that makes the most sense for you. You do not have to be on all platforms. Pick the ones that you are most likely to keep up with. The same way we said with the CRMs, the best CRM is the one you're going to use. So it's the same thing there. And repurpose your content. You don't have to create brand new original content for if you want to be on 2-3 platforms. You can actually take a longer YouTube video or have yourself a podcast, put it into snippets and break it down into smaller videos. Put that a couple on Facebook, a couple of different ones on Instagram, put some on LinkedIn, write an article about what you talked about in that podcast show, put it into your blog on your website, share that blog on LinkedIn. So it's not as difficult to be involved in digital marketing in multiple ways, because we've already established it's a broad thing, right? It's a huge thing. You can be active in it. You just have to plan. You have to plan. You have to be strategic. Don't just get out there and start doing stuff, because just like how we talked about always be prospecting, you may find yourself feeling overwhelmed. You'll feel like, I'm trying to pick up a whole new job, trying to be a full-time content creator, and that's not me. So just create a plan and stick to your plan and use the platforms that make the most sense for you when it comes to digital marketing.
And I think I want to follow up with that, because I think as going from offline, like more networking groups, referral based, to online, there is an intimidating factor when we start to do marketing, right? That makes you want to change, shift, do something different, you'll have all these creative ideas. And I went through that because I'm like, okay, what's going to be the right message? And at the end of the day, I think Lachey said this, you're trying to get one message to a million people, not a million messages to one person, and I know that challenges us as entrepreneurs, because it's like, but I'm trying to say this same thing, but it really is important at this point, to hire you a coach or hire you somebody to really help you to message yourself. And I know that we talk, and I don't know if, we're going to get to this, but investing in, people to really help you shape your story and shape your narrative so that you can do that message over and over and over again, because that's important when it comes to ways to market.
See, if you were like a person, like say you're in real estate or you're in some other kind of business, right? You may don't have the desire to do this, right? Or maybe even know how to do it or whatever the case is. But like she just said, it's important to hire somebody to take care of that stuff for you.
Right.
This stuff is valuable. It's valuable.
And I piggyback, because I always tell people time is money. So you could take the time to figure out if you don't have the money to do it, because these are essentially we're going over the fundamentals of if you want a profitable, sustainable business. So if this is something that you're reaching for, it's going to have to be done. So if you are not willing to do it, then exactly what Jay said, then you need to hire someone who is qualified to do that for you, because like she said, depending on your market, depending on your mode and how you want to carry your business, it's going to reach a point where you're not going to be able to do everything yourself.
Absolutely.
And I want to, being able to be flexible too, because I think that you can want to, and again, I'm just going by my own experience, you can, and I always have been deep into the program side. So I'm trying to explain to people what I do and how I do what I do. And they're not interested in that, right? I have the solution, they have the problem. And I'm trying to explain the solution to them, and it's not meeting them because they can't connect this solution with this problem, right? And so when we talk about marketing, it really is problem oriented, right? What is the problem that this individual is having? So using your feedback and using your marketing as a way to allow you to be flexible to what are you getting back? If nobody's really responding, then you may need help, right? If you're not, and even if you're not attracting the right clients, so you may be attracting clients, but you're not attracting clients that you desire to work with. You know what I mean?
Or they don't desire to stay with you and grow with you. I think that's one too, because I have somebody who he was getting a bunch of people, but he's like, I don't want these people because they weren't being good clients. Like he had started off getting really good clients, and as he started to grow, he kind of started getting, let's be real, some trash ones that weren't doing, weren't taking part in the business like he wanted it, and it started to bog him down, and that's a factor as well.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make 2 points off of what you ladies said. So first thing, Danielle had brought up the concept of time is money. And that is very true. And you both kind of touched on it, but it's that idea of scalability. A lot of times people think of marketing as a cost, as an expense, as something else that I have to pay for. But realistically, if you keep going the way that you are, you're going to stay exactly where you're at. I hear people a lot of times say, oh, I'm trying to grow my business, but you're not doing nothing different. So how are you going to actually grow your business? It's not just, do you have the ability to learn how to market your business, because you possibly can. However, as Sheila gave in her own personal example, she spent most of her time working in the business. That's probably the best use of her time, working in the business. Once someone has already been put through a process to make sure they're a proper client, they can get all the information of what their need is and pass it along to you. That means you can now take 10 times more clients than what you were doing before, because your time isn't being wasted by doing that. So that idea of scalability, people have to stop looking at paying for marketing, paying for someone to design your website, paying for it, because it's not just, oh, that's a cost to do that. And I've got time, I've got weekends, but is that time that you can spend thinking about a new product? Is that time that you can spend going in and training your employees? Because I'm not really trying to train your employees. I can tell you what they're doing wrong, but I'm not really trying to train them. So I think that we have to kind of like change the way we think about marketing as not an optional thing. It's a necessity thing if you are going to sustain yourself. Like, businesses don't close for no reason. Most businesses know they need to market, but they are mistakenly think that the marketing needs to come from them. And they think that if they don't do it themselves, then it's almost like I'm admitting that I'm incapable. And it's not about that at all. It's just, what is the best use of your time? I'm not, if you design clothes, honey, you in your lane and I'm in mine. You don't have to worry about me coming over there and trying to figure out how to design a garment. I'm not, just because I go to a store and I buy clothes doesn't mean that I'm not capable. I just choose not to spend my time doing that, because my time can much better be spent on my craft. I believe everybody has a gift, everybody has a blessing, a talent, something that they're good at. And it could be something, as something like marketing, or something as simple as cleaning. I've got a cousin who is amazing when it comes to that. Give me a junky room and come back 2 days, that room gonna look the exact same, because I get overwhelmed and I
yesterday, like, look, get you a good old cleaner, and that's a blessing.
Danielle and Sheila are believers.
Exactly. Like, now that's a whole industry where people are being professional organizers. Why? Because there are people like me who just, I cannot. So it's about knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, and your weaknesses aren't a problem. Sometimes the most advantageous way is to find someone who that is their strengths, and that creates a stronger company. So that was the one thing I said. And there was another point that you guys had said, and I was like, oh, that was a good one, but never mind.
It's a tax write-off.
Right.
It's an investment. Hence the name of her company. You're investing in your company. These things, these coaches, these marketing, all these things are investments. Investment is something that's going to grow later. So it's like, yes, instead of thinking of it as an expense, no, this is an investment.
And this is a shameless plug here. It's an emotional management thing too. I think that we all want to go into business, but mind you, marketing is exposing a layer of what you do and who you are, and it can trigger some inadequacy. So you could be the best, bake caker, or you could be the best clothing designer, but you still may feel some inadequacies now because you only been selling this to your homegirls and your homeboys. Yeah, and when you market, now you're exposing yourself to another level of what you may perceive as criticism or judgment or whatever, and that can cause some angst in you. And I would just encourage you, to contact Shaping Solutions to talk about that emotional management, because we have so many people that's not living in their gift because of the emotional thing that's being attached to it. And we're sophisticatedly making up these rational lies, meaning we're rationalizing why we're not hiring a Lachey or why we're not hiring somebody, when truly you have a fear of being exposed to to a greater calling, to expanding your business, and even exposing your, I think that Danielle said it, your insecurity, or Lachey said it, like you feel like, oh, I'm inadequate.
Right.
This is why I'm hiring you. And it's not an inadequacy. It's actually just another piece to the puzzle that's going to expand your brand. And you don't have to go all over. I mean, you could still market to your current population, but when you market, your tongue gets so sophisticated in how you start to talk about your product when you talk about it to an individual that's helping you to develop the words and the language and things like that. So you get a little bit more savvier as a consequence of hiring somebody to help you market and prospect your business or your services.
Like you just said, it's a tax write-off too, right?
Yeah.
So either
tax write-off,
either pay it to the IRS, right, or use it to grow yourself in your business, right? Simple as that, man. So
that. And shameless plug to piggyback, or you can listen to the Shaping Solutions podcast and get some of these tips and tricks to help tackle.
Absolutely.
Listen, we was talking about a little earlier how most business, what you say, 90% of business is going to be out of business in the next, in 2 years or something like that?
10 years.
2 years, right? So if the stuff that we're talking about right now, they were to implement some of these things we're talking about, you have more clients probably, right? You can be marketing, you can be prospecting, and all these different things. Hopefully, when they may be able to put somebody or get somebody in a position to where they can help them do different things, and maybe they still may be here today, right? But the problem is, like you say, a lot of times they don't think you really need somebody like that. They try to figure out on their own,
and see this is where I love to bring the perspective of big companies, because I was in corporate so long. And these same strategies are built into big companies.
Right.
The continuous improvement piece, the checking on people's mental health piece, the perfect example, the company I worked for had to start rebranding. Mind you, this company has been around for 20, 30 years. And they were realizing, how do we take advantage of social media? So they went on a whole campaign. This is a company that's been established for years, but you still have to continuously reevaluate what you're doing. If, to Lachey's point, you start having a little too many dips, okay, now I gotta go back and reevaluate, because the market is always changing, the customer base is always changing, your clients are always changing. You never know what they want. So it's a continuous process. And to your point, Jay, yes, if they want to sustain, this is something that needs a whole division. Big companies, the marketing department, is massive. The customer service department is massive, and they make big money. Why? Because they're bringing in big money. They have built that into a part of their company. So those are the kind of things I like to get small business owners to keep in mind. Like, if you want to be a big business one day, these are the things that you're going to have to start incorporating. And when you start small, then you have to invest in it. As you grow, you can mold it into your business and make it one.
And keep in mind too, man, you may have to raise your prices a little bit to offset that, right? Build that into your margin, man. You have to do that. This is part of business. You have to do
more value.
And I just want to say, what's coming up in my spirit is also, what are you marketing? I feel like, or where are you marketing, or what are you doing? So a part of marketing is actually, like we talked about earlier, prospecting, and is prospecting and marketing the same thing? Like, as a therapist, it wasn't advantageous for me to get online, right? Because my clients came into my office. So the best thing for me would have been offline marketing, like going into the hospitals, so even talking to a person about what would be the best way for you to market your business. Because, mailers work for some businesses, cold calls work better in some industries, right? So even if you just took a free consult and talked to a marketer who provides that, just to give you some direction about what would be the best way to market this particular business. I have a friend, Love Jones Charcuterie, shout out to her, Deidre, and she do charcuterie boards. And literally, she's doing them in the community. Like, she don't have to market to Texas because she can't send that charcuterie board to Texas. You know what I mean? So she has to do a lot of offline marketing, even though she has a social media presence. A lot of her referrals are referral based services from people who, and so she met with a marketer would more be about when she set up this board, do she have signs? Do she have cards? Like, so one of the things I recommended was her to put a QR code up there. So when people come see her sign, they can just go right to take the QR code, pull it up on their phone and follow her. Right. So her marketing strategy would be very different because of the industry that she's in. And so, I mean, this really depends on what your industry is too, how and why you're going to market and what are you marketing for? You know, Absolutely. As a nonprofit, I want to say this, as a nonprofit, mine is for donors. So my marketing is very different around who am I communicating to and what kind of things am I doing to get the donors in as this director. So it's also those integral things that go into marketing as well. So I would just encourage everybody to just talk to a marketer. And let's talk about marketing, because social media marketers and all these type of things, and it's all of them do something different, right? Which is why I connected with Lachey, because she talked about brand messaging. And I knew that was the first stage of marketing. And I'm like, oh yeah, I need to connect with her, because going online, that is a very important piece to branding my identity and what we're doing, you know, with the company.
Right. What both you ladies touched on is what I wanted to highlight. It's the idea of change, and change happens on all levels. And although marketing is going to be different depending on what your business is, marketing can change even within your business. Mm-hmm. So a prime example, during the time of COVID, people who did weddings in their local city, and they were used to a certain level of word of mouth marketing. They knew how to go to the conventions. They knew how to be listed in certain publications, but COVID happens. Large weddings aren't a thing. Are you doing the research, and are you keeping your finger on the pulse to know about what new things are happening within your own industry, so that you can take advantage of those opportunities, so that you can communicate it to your marketer and let people know this is something new that you're doing? For example, I know here in Houston, when that whole thing happened, elopement weddings started to become a huge thing. Weddings where it only needed one, or the man, the woman, and the person to marry you, and that was it. Online weddings became a thing, and people doing their ceremonies for bridal showers, baby showers, all of that. So that's utilizing technology to overcome that hurdle, but that requires you to constantly, like Danielle said, evaluate your business, because what worked yesterday, even in something as simple as weddings, people would have thought weddings are always the same. Making a cake is always the same. But now people like realistic looking cakes. If you can make a cake look like a flashlight, you can charge 3 times as much.
Amen.
So there's so many different ways that you can make money, even with what you do, that it could seem so simple. But I feel like a lot of times people, they get so comfortable, and it's just, this is what I do. I'm a bricklayer. But can you be a bricklayer who has a franchise that you teach other people how to lay bricks too? Can you be a bricklayer trainer, and you can stop being out there laying these bricks? There's so many ways that you can package up what your gifts and your talents are. And again, that's why it doesn't make sense to get so caught up in, but I need to focus on the marketing. I need to focus. No, not really. You just need to make sure the marketing gets done. You need to focus on building the best business that you can. That's what you need to do, because your industry changes, the world changes, technology changes. The only thing that's a guaranteed constant is change. That is guaranteed, and it does not matter. There is not an industry I can think of that has remained untouched. I just met today with a real estate brokerage, because I have my real estate license, and they were telling me about some of the tech things that they're doing. They're integrating AI technology to where they're developing with Alexa and Google, so that we can get it to the point where you can take a picture of your house and it can give you an estimate based off of recent sales, by geolocation, where you're at, by visual seeing.
How you feel about that, Jay?
It's just, they got technology now. You can go by somebody's house, take a picture, and it'll tell you who owns the place, and all kind of stuff.
Really?
Yes. It's so
There's
many
stuff out there.
2 non-real estate people.
That's been going on for a minute now. So yeah.
So it's just always it's better for you to focus on researching your industry and researching your competition, seeing what's out there, seeing what's being done, seeing what's in the process of being developed. Because even the technology that they use for the Google Lens, that technology, back when I was in college, one of my classmates did their project on the patent that was eventually bought by Google and became the Google Lens. They saw the capability of that. So there are so many places that you can go to find ideas. That's what you need to spend your time on, actively doing that, trying to be innovative within your industry. And I feel like a lot of people in kind of what they would consider to be consistent categories, they just feel like they don't have to. Oh, I have a restaurant. People are just going to drive by and come into my restaurant, right? COVID happens. Now you're closed. The people who got their butts on Uber Eats.
Okay, DoorDash, everything.
Thank
you. Mobile trucks.
Yeah.
So yeah. Like, oh, that internet, I don't really feel like that. And I'm not good at computers and I don't have time for that. You could have hired somebody to set that whole thing up and just let you focus on cooking. So instead of you realizing your weakness, knowing what your strength is, hiring somebody to accommodate that in between, you just missed out on a lot of money. And I think, again, going to Sheila's point, that we have to take stock of these things. And if you know that you're that person, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to get a coach like Sheila and work past that, because you're really preventing yourself from living your best life. Yeah. Going to Cancun ain't living your best life. Okay. Financial freedom is. That's just living your best life. Like when you can come back from Cancun and not be stressed and overwhelmed and depressed because you're broke, because you took that trip knowing full well you didn't have the money, but y'all know, right? That's not.
And I want to piggyback, because I love providing perspective, because, and it actually goes back to what Lachey said. Now, when you do that, only do the stuff you want to do, because the problem is you'll look at this person over here who may be in the same industry and they're like, oh, well, they're doing this, I think I should do this. Not if you don't want to, because yes, there could be a million ways. See, you have a much formal way of putting things. I call it the Taco Bell method. Taco Bell got like 5 ingredients, but how many menu items do they have? It's all the same thing. They just, sometimes they put the cheese on the outside, sometimes put the cheese on the inside. It's a burrito, it's a taco, it's an enchilada. But the core base ingredients are very low. And that's what I try to teach people, is like, what do you have? How many ways can you flip it? But only to things that you are comfortable doing. Because like you said, can you teach a course? I work with somebody, he's like, oh, I think I want to teach a course, and then I can't do that. Okay, so we're gonna leave that alone.
Okay, yes and no. Yes, know what your strengths are, know what your weaknesses are. But again, in most cases, there is somebody that can get that done. I know people who you can literally hire someone to teach the class for you. You do all the branding. It's under your banner. It's under your name. You can give the information that should go in there. You can hire a writer to do it. If that class has the ability to make $1 million.
And that's exactly what happened. We pivoted, because at first I'm going to do it. No, you're not going to do it. We're going to figure out how to execute this.
Right. You don't do it.
We may put this on a 3-month plan. It's not going to be the 30-day plan right now, because we're going to have to find the right components.
The prioritizing, I think that's the big thing. Yeah, prioritize, because yes, all these things are advantageous and all these things can make you money, but can they all make sense to start and do now? And will it be more of a hindrance than a help if you overwhelm yourself by taking on that many projects? Because even when you hire someone, you have to keep and hold the people you hire accountable. Amen. And make sure they're doing what they're supposed to. Because that's the thing too. I see a lot of times people will hire marketers. Half these marketers don't know what they're doing, what they're talking about. They don't know. They know certain key trending terms. So for people who aren't really familiar with social media, that they're like, oh, okay, you get it. He said algorithm. That is like.
and I think that's and I think that's important. To know too, that on this journey of, if it's hiring a marketer or hiring a coach, no, it's like dating, right? It's truly like you're dating people to see how well they fit with you. And everybody is not going to fit, but don't allow that to discourage you from your ultimate goal and what you want to do. And to Danielle's point, when we're talking about make sure you want to do it, know why you don't want to do it though, right? Too, because sometimes we can sophisticatedly, and I just want to talk about this again, our emotions can get in the way, and we can sophisticatedly tell ourselves, well, that ain't something I do, or that ain't something I'm strong at, when really it's just really a sophisticated way of you getting out of doing this thing that you were called to do.
That one. Yep.
And so I really think it's important to know why you don't want to do something, and understand that this relationship, when you're hiring a coach or you're hiring a marketer, is like dating, and everybody is not going to fit. But that don't mean that they're bad people. That don't mean that your services is not good. That just means you just got to keep working at it until you run into the person that's going to be your mate for that particular season.
Right.
And that's funny, because that's what I tell people. Because like I said, I work with people that are more in the very beginning stages. That's why you should start that business, because you never know where the space is, and the space is there. And the beauty of social media and the internet, people can find you, or you can find them to fill that space, because you're not competing. Like she said, how many marketing people? But I'm sure Lachey ain't skipping no meals, because to Sheila's point, there's always somebody that fits better for you. And as a business owner, you never know who you will fit best with. So that's why it's important to, if the spirit is calling you to start a business, remove that as an excuse of, oh, there's all those people. Because I'm flipping your reason. Like, yes, as a business owner, you should find the right, but starting the business, don't let that fear that there's so many people doing it stop you.
So I'm gonna have a Sheila moment. My spirit is telling me. My spirit is leading me. So she was talking, and she was saying how there are so many different marketers out there, and a lot of times that in itself, like, there is the fear of imposter syndrome that will stop people from starting that business. And there's also the fear that, oh, there are already so many people who are in that industry, it's overly saturated. But like she said, million marketers, Lachey not missing no meals, honey. I done gained some weight, okay? So just because there are people out there doesn't mean that there's not room for you. But even better, I personally am a huge believer in the power of collaboration.
Amen. Everybody on this call is
on this call right now, but we both bring something to the table. We have different backgrounds. We clearly work with different clients. We've got different testimonials to give, and I think there's so much power in that people, are really missing out on some incredible opportunities by just viewing their other people in the industry, I'll say, as only competition. They're not just that. They're your counterparts. They're your coworkers. These are people who you can make magic happen with, because we could be in marketing, but I may like email. She may like social media. Hey, how about I send you half of that and you send me your half of that, and we double up on everything. Like, you have to not be afraid of getting out of your comfort zone. And I know that's something that Sheila helps with. And I love that Danielle brought that up with, because that getting too comfortable, and people just people automatically will rationalize themselves out of some situations, like, oh, well, I didn't want it no way. You lying. Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
I like the word rationalize, because it is a rational lie. Like, it makes sense. It is a rational lie that you're telling yourself. Like, yes, this is a saturated industry. I think they call it like a red industry and a blue industry, a red lake industry and a blue lake industry. And it's a lot of people in certain industries, and they call those red lake industries. Like, it's a lot of coaches out here. It's a lot of people selling t-shirts out here. It's a lot of people with hair products out here. But listen, if you just got a small slither,
okay,
because we got 6 billion people in the world, and in America is like 50 million people, and then like in my county alone it's like 50,000 people. So even if I got a slither,
1%,
right,
of this 50,000,
half of a 1%,
the marketing that we use though will help a lot. And what we're talking about here. But check this out. So SEO, right? The search engine optimization, right? How can that benefit us, right?
Oh my
I'm not
goodness.
good at it.
This is huge, man. This is huge.
That's the
No,
first
I'm
thing
not
you
good at
should
that at
do.
all.
You never know when it's gonna benefit you. That's the beauty of it is, especially and I had to jump in first because it's happened recently where client just shows up out of nowhere. This goes back to customer service. Asks, hey, how did you find us? Oh, Google. Okay. I had to do something right now. I Googled it. You were the second person that answered the phone. Boom.
Yeah, man.
That's a client. And you know, it's something that you set up when you first start your business, but you never know when it's gonna kick in. But I'll take a little shade.
Yeah, man. And then 6 months later, whatever the case is, but when that thing pop up and you on the front page or close to the front, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like with the notary, we have a notary business as well, man. So when somebody pull up a notary in this area, we like one of the first ones to pop up. And I'm like, man, that's free. You know what I'm saying? That advertising marketing is free. So
I was gonna say before Lachey take the reign, I'm gonna say I am horrible at it because I think Lachey watched some of the shows and you know we do the acronyms like shape your life. She's like, but Sheila, nobody's looking like shape your life. Like that's not a good SEO, right? Like you gotta do what they're looking for. And I'm like, I didn't really think about that. So again, hiring a person to get you to think like, you know, hey, it's great content in this podcast. But nobody's really searching for shape your life, or you know, they're searching for these keywords, and we need to know what these keywords are. So then, shape your life will come up, you know, in your search.
That's a great point, man. I'm learning that myself.
Yeah, and I was like, I just was thinking about a great title. I wasn't thinking.
Right. But
and that's why we hire help.
Right. A lot of people do that. They when they think of a title, just like you think about the title of a book, you want something that's catchy, that's memorable. That's the complete opposite of SEO. SEO has nothing at all to do with that. If you want to say it in your video, if you want to include it within the text, because it'll make the text more memorable. But when it comes to getting found on different platforms, which is one thing that I wanted to highlight too, because I feel like a lot of people mistakenly only view SEO when it comes to their website, which first off, I want to say, I personally feel like everybody probably should have a website. There are so many ways to get one. You can get one pretty much from free, but you want something. We all know the concept of getting multiple streams of income. We all know about making our money work harder for us so that we don't have to. That's what SEO is. SEO is where when people search because they have a need, making it a much higher qualified lead because they're actively looking for the thing that you do, you come up and they call you. When Danielle got that call, she has never had contact with this person a day in life, but they had a need and she was listed as a person who sells a solution. That's what SEO is.
But she planted the seed though. She had to plant that seed for that thing to write at that time. So
with SEO, you have to be actively involved. And a lot of people think, oh, but I sell food, so people are automatically going to find me when it comes to food. That's not what SEO is. SEO is a strategic plan that you should have for specific keywords that you are trying to go after as it relates to your product. So say, for example, if I'm a restaurant and I offer vegan food, or let's say if I'm a seafood restaurant, I may put fish tacos or a stir fry, just all of these different things that you offer for things that
sound good right now too.
Now people think of those things on the website, but they forget you need SEO on everything you do. Every profile you have should be optimized for search. If you have TikTok, your title should not be your name. Your title should be what it is that you do. So if someone is searching for a motivational speaker or a life coach, that's what you would have as your top. So you automatically come up, then they're going to click on you and find out who you are and more about you. If you're on LinkedIn, if you're on Facebook, you want to still make sure those things are optimized. If you are on YouTube, you want to make sure that you're optimizing. YouTube is the second largest search engine, period.
Yeah.
Period.
Next to Google, right?
Yeah.
Right, next to Google, and Google owns them both. So people, which is why a lot of times if you search titles in Google, you notice YouTube videos come up. So a lot of times people, because right now, since SEO on websites and blogs have been around for a really long time, it's a process. And that's one thing I want to say too, when it comes to marketing, people mistakenly think that is an overnight process, that you're supposed to get results tomorrow or next week. And that's not necessarily the truth, especially if you're starting and giving me nothing to work with. It is a process we have to work with. So that's just one of my own little got to tell the world. But when it comes to SEO for websites, that's a process for the algorithm to start reading your site. But YouTube is still fairly new compared to Google. So you could have a highly optimized YouTube video, and now all of a sudden your video is showing up before the people with these websites that are also optimized. So I want people to realize that SEO, it's not just about, oh, I need to blog, I need to write an article. It's just my website. It's everything that you do. It literally says search engine. So if it has a box where you can type something to search something, that's SEO, and you need to make sure you're using keywords.
And I think that the most powerful thing you said, everything you said was powerful, but I think the most
impactful,
receptive and impactful thing that you said was active leads.
Yes.
So these people are looking to pay for this service, or they're looking for this solution. So you're not paying for them to come, search for you. Like, these people are getting on, like, how to, whatever, how to cook a good cake, or, how to establish a good relationship, or how to do whatever. And in your transcript of your description of whatever that is, if you can have the how to, whatever their question is, now you're going to get more leads for free, because if you do the work on the back end, and this is in SEO is truly what that is, you're doing the work in the beginning and being intentional about how you're writing things. I ain't saying I did it, because I told you on my podcast, it's like Shape Your Life. And this is why I hired her to do this on it, because I want to stay in my lane, but I know the importance of that, because I do want, when somebody put in life coach, transforming my life, I want the Shaping Solutions podcast to pop up. I want Shaping Solutions to pop up, right? Like, I want to be in the front of that if they're looking for therapists or healing, right? And how do I get in front of these individuals? Was going to be structured in how the title, or in the writings, or in how the post is showing up. So I think that was the most impactful, because these are active leads. They're actually warm. They're looking for, they understand that there's a problem. I had a coach that taught me there's 3 lanes, real quick. There's 3 lanes of people. There's the slow lane that don't even realize they got a problem, right? There's the middle lane that realize I have a problem, but their solution could be anything. Like, I'm unhappy, but it could be my boyfriend, it could be my job, it could be my kids. Like, it's so many. So if you told them it was one, it can easily bear them to say, well, maybe it's not that, it's this. And then there's the fast lane. I got a problem, and my solution is this. And when you get those, and you want to get people in that fast lane that understands they have a problem, and they know you have the solution to solve their problem. And SEO is helping you to get those people in the fast lane. And that is what she just said, right? About these are warm leads. They know they got a problem, and they're looking for the solution, and they can find you in that solution if you have the wording and the language in your, titles, or in your posts and things like that.
Now your job is not to mess it up. Right. That's it, right?
When we get into the customer service segment.
Exactly. Oh, we on our way. So, all right. So one more here. So now here we're getting into the retention, right? So let's jump right into this thing. So how important is customer retention in business, right?
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah, it is. one of the most important aspects of business because of what we mentioned earlier. The cheapest customer acquisition you're going to have is customers that you already have. Why? Because people naturally want to justify any decision they have, good, bad, whatever. A crappy boyfriend that you have, people will justify that for a really long time, even though he ain't nothing. But it's just mentally, we want to justify our decision. So a person who decides to take advantage of this free offer, okay, I'm looking for it to work. I purchased and I gave my money. No one wants to say I spent my money somewhere dumb. So for the people who actively try to create the best business that they can and give them additional things that they can buy in. Say, for example, if you originally sold someone on a hairstyle, now you're going to sell that same person from that hairstyle products for them to maintain that style. Who's more likely to buy those products? Someone random off the street, and what's going to cost you more to reach that random person on the street, or the person who's sitting right there in your chair, who's already made a decision to go in, meaning they've already made a decision that you are a person that I want to work with, versus the person on the street. You got to first convince them of that. Do they want to work with you? Are you someone who's even a good fit for them? You've already done the dating phase. They've already, the second they give you their dollars, y'all are married now. Now you're going to stay in this marriage like that one. So I think that's something, and what's crazy is we both said as marketers, it's everything. Yet it is the number one thing that small businesses fail to do. More than they struggle with general marketing or social media or having a website or SEO, they struggle that much more with retention, with follow-up. Most people, I think I've mentioned this in the previous one, to get a person sold on something, they need to have a touch from a business anywhere between 5 to 30 times before they make a decision. So after you've put all that work in, you're just gonna stop and let that be it and try again and work on getting the next one. And that's also what causes that up and down roller coaster thing, because you're constantly trying to find a new client to replace the client you just lost, when you can keep that client and create a new service that you can offer them that allows for retention. Is at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is, again, solve problems. And most problems aren't, I think, as kind of Sheila was saying, it's not just one thing, right? Like, it's usually a combination of a few things. You thought it was the bad boyfriend, but it turns out it came from a bad household environment when you were growing up. So it's usually not just one thing. It's usually not just one thing that people need. And that's what, as an entrepreneur, you need to be focused on. What do people really need? Okay, so I offer this product. Like we said, I am a beauty salon. I do hairstyles for people. So how about I offer them additional products to maintain that? Okay, I am a social media marketer, but I'm finding that people really struggle in the developmental stage, where they have a strong foundation, where they understand what their branding and their messaging is, so that they can take the full advantage of their marketing. Boom, new service. Now I've got 2 different services that have been able to branch off into several different lanes. Okay, I'm doing therapy, but I'm realizing that people need to understand some general concepts that allow me to offer a coaching program. Now, instead of me teaching one-on-one to one person, I could teach to a class of 30, 50, teach a lecture. You got 100 people in a room.
And I think you bring up a great point, because what I hear you saying is line of sight. And I think that is, when we're talking about the retention in your business, it's truly about, do you have a line of sight or a customer journey that you actually took the responsibility and thought about, okay, this customer is coming in to get their hair done. What other needs can I solve for them? And a lot of business owners is not thinking that line of sight for that customer. They're just thinking about the money from that one hairstyle. And if you want it, we want to think smarter and not harder, right? And if, like Lachey said, the most profitable business I've had was when I built the shop and I saw these women coming in, and I was like, I'm coaching the ladies in the shop, but then I was like, wait, it's like hundreds of women coming in. We need a product line. And then I added a product line to them, and we managed that product line. Like, that was the most profitable time for me in a small season, because we didn't have to go look for new customers. But they didn't have that line of sight, which is again why it's so critical for you to talk to a coach or somebody about your business so that they can get this line of sight for you in all these avenues, and know that that's going to be overwhelming, because you probably weren't thinking that. Look, I just want to cook cakes. You know what I mean? Right? But if we're talking about you cooking cakes, then let's talk about how all the cakes you can cook. Let's do a brain dump, and then let's now select and be strategic about the one customer and why they're going to buy these cakes and when they're going to buy these cakes, so we can make sure that you are available to sell the maximum amount of cakes that you can to this individual at the times in their life. So they're going to need a birthday cake. They're going to need a Christmas
baby shower cake, graduation party.
Right. And that's one of the things that we did with Deidre. Like, you know, when she started her business, we talked about, okay, it's the month of May. What's going to be going on in May that, you know, they're going to need charcuteries for? You like, okay, it's the month of June, right? And really giving her a line of sight for individuals. Me and Lachey and I, you know, we talked about my line of sight. Okay, so when we pull them out of this, we're going to move them here. Me and Danielle talked about the line of sight of, okay, when they do the podcast, we're going to move them there. We're going to move them there, right? And it's just so important and critical that in business, we have at least 4 steps ahead for our customers, because they're building a relationship with you. And we have to be a steward to our clients, because it is a relationship, you know, and it is an exchange, and being a steward over that, I think, is going to help you as an entrepreneur, one, stay sustainable, stay profitable, and really stay in the conversations that's happening, you know, with the people, so that they can buy your products.
Yes.
But it requires a line of sight, though. It definitely requires you to think beyond what you currently see, which will step you out of survival mode into success mode. So it's actually a mindset shift, right? It's not just about surviving today. It's about preparing. It's about surviving today, but preparing for tomorrow, and seeing your customer as a valuable person. And talking about retention, we have to see the customer as a valuable person. And so many of us just see the customer as a customer, and not as the person that's paying your bills.
Okay.
The person that's, you know, helping you to put food on your table. And when we start seeing value in our customers and the services that we provide, I think we will take a different level of interest in really investing into our products and services, because these are the people that's keeping clothes on your back. These are the people that's keeping gas in your car. It is their money in exchange for your services. And we have to start treating our customers as valued individuals.
Yeah, and this is the reason why people are going out of business. Right?
Customer service, because you don't get the customers if you don't know how to talk to people. So if you don't, I mean, to me, the basic recommendation is, how do you want to be talked to? You know, keep that in mind. But these are things that, like you said, Sheila, if I'm just baking cakes, that's what I'm focused on, because this is what I work with. But then, okay, you're baking cakes. Now you're selling. Now you're on social media. Now you're getting calls from people you don't know. How do you engage in them in conversation? You know, they have to, like you said, have that mindset and understand, okay, you have to create and make sure you are giving this person a good customer experience, no matter how small your business is. It may just be you baking cakes, but you still need to answer that phone. Hey, this is Danielle's Bakery. Danielle speaking, you know, that starts with the basics, but you would be surprised how many people don't.
A message that says, you know, hey, you met Danielle's Bakery. I will return your call within 24 hours. Please leave your name and number, or you can email me at this specific number, you know, this email, and we'll get back with you within 24 to 48 hours.
Your voicemail box, it can't be full. Like, it can't, you know, or, you know,
I think those are things that people just, come on now, it's 2022. We got to get it together when it comes to this
stuff. But I'm saying that because I've had this experience trying to support small businesses.
Me too. I've had that.
And Jay, I know, because we be on the same page. I think we are like serial supporters, and I love trying to support. And then you hit a wall and you're like,
Wow. Like,
okay, I'm trying to work
I'm finna take up for the small businesses that may not have everything.
I'm Steve. You feel
and here's why. I really do feel like when we talk about big companies, they have tested and tested and tested and tested and retested and retested and retested and hired people and brought people in. So it's a streamline effect. When you go to McDonald's, there's a process set up that they have spent millions and sometimes billions of dollars to put in place. When we're talking about a small business that's just an individual who only like baking cakes, they are very frustrated when they have to answer the phone. And they may have hired a person to answer the phone, and now they fell out with that person because that person didn't know how to answer the phone. And now they just giving up hope because all they want to do is bake cakes, and they didn't try to hire the people to do the right thing, or they're scared to hire the person. So when you get a person out there, natural element, I bake cakes. Listen, I don't want to talk to you. Just tell me what kind of cake you want. We are dealing with attitudes. Yes. But if that person, and this is where the autonomy of that person, if you want to be the best cake seller, then that individual business has to then make the initiative to bring the right people in, or that company is just going to dissolve. That company, though, should not represent the whole experience of Black business. Yes. And I feel like too often we allow these companies that are not always equipped to do things. We paint this brush that that's why I don't mess with Black businesses or you know what I mean, because I don't get the right, help. And it's like, yeah, but they are a small business and they may be in their first or second year, and they was adamant and excited because they got in the paper and they got an influx of individuals they wasn't prepared for, or a system that they wasn't prepared for. And I think we just need to be a little bit more compassionate and maybe start putting like tip boxes, like I'll take tips.
Listen.
That's why we still
need to be a better business, right? And let them take, you write your little slip like, hey, I think you need to have, get rid of your phone. I think as small business,
I think that's a good point, that like, because sometimes, so Issa Rae said it amazingly when she said that the definition of an entrepreneur means that I did that bit by myself. That's essentially what it is when you're an entrepreneur. And a lot of people, whether they are 10 years down the road or just starting off, at some point you wear multiple hats, if not all the hats. And it can get overwhelming. And on this topic, I think it's important to point out that even if you do mess up in one of these areas, like maybe you didn't answer the phone, maybe you didn't call them back, that's not the end of customer retention or customer service at all by any means. There was one really great story that I recently read. Since we're talking about cakes, it's so funny that we keep using that example, but she actually owned a bakery, and one thing that she would do is she would send a 1-year anniversary card to all of her clients who bought wedding cakes from her. And she doubled her bottom line because of that, because that very small thing, going and getting a dollar store card, $2-4 card, and sending it off to these people, and just that small gesture. You think they remember if she didn't answer a call or respond to a voicemail from a year ago? No, they remember this heartfelt moment where she did reach out to them. Now they're buying anniversary cakes, like, oh, babe, how about we get, a smaller version? They're referring her. They're ordering birthday cakes. She more than doubled her bottom line just from
cheat on you, do something bad to you, but then he come back with flowers and like.
We're not going that direction. I love that counterpoint because I've had those experiences. That simple. Right. Look, everybody. A lot of people know that little "thank you for supporting my small business" sticker. Get a roll of those. Seeing that when I buy, because I'm a serial supporter of very small businesses, and I like you said, when they put the thank you note in it. I had one girl, she just put candy in it, like because her kids were helping her package and stuff. Very, very starting off, and I'm like, oh, that's cute. That's very because it you remember because that's part of the customer experience. So yes, the phone calls, that's one portion of the overall customer experience.
It's funny that you said that. I just bought something from a Black-owned company, and that's one of the things that they had. So I ordered.
I guess
card in there.
I just want to
I
say
love your
this. Though.
perspective,
I just want to say. No, because I was that small business. I was the
I knew it.
How you saw that?
No, listen, I know that I know what I'm doing. I am so competent. I will change your life and transform your life. Those other areas, though, is not my strength, which is why I learned to invest in people.
Right.
But if you talk to somebody, you know, who probably had worked with me when I was on Washington and my first office, they probably said, "Oh, I came to her office. She didn't open the door. She was late," you know. And here's the thing. Those individuals who experienced Sheila then, I ain't let that stop me because I didn't had a 5,000 square feet since then. You know what I mean? And hired and had a staff of 7 people since then. But some people have allowed that negative talk to stop them from doing and not being compassionate with themselves. Like, hey, you only know what you know until you know something different. And so that's why I'm encouraging small businesses. If you don't have these things in place and you have done this stuff, please don't bow out. It's a learning.
When it comes to the phone service, though, that's kind of my pet peeve when it comes to phone service, right? Because in business, bro, that next phone call can change your life, right? There are phone services out there that you can actually hire people to answer the phone 24/7. It's really inexpensive. You know what I'm saying? So I hear what you're saying, and I'm rocking with you with it. But you gotta answer the phone. If you don't answer the phone, you gotta return the call. You gotta do that. You never know. That one call can turn your life around.
She said that she got that customer who found her on Google. Why? Because she was the second person
to answer the phone.
Yeah.
I've done that.
I've done that too.
The Google list. Who's gonna be the first person that answers that phone? And we all know. And like
that's simple. Sometimes you were the best. You just literally answered the phone. So I think it's a combination of both, right? Yeah. You need to, if you're bad at it, work on getting better. But especially when you know you struggle with these things, have some kind of fail safes to help you out to do that, you know, above and beyond. Like, say, for example, if you're bad at answering the phone, reach out to your customers, get testimonials, because if you didn't answer the phone, a lot of times people are going to go online, they're going to look you up. Let them see that, okay, maybe she is busy because I'm looking online and I see she does amazing work. She's changed lives. She's done all this stuff and all these people are super happy with her, but she is a small business. And you know what? Maybe she is worth me picking up the phone and giving her a call back because I see she working. So maybe that's why she
don't want to discourage the small business owner. I feel like y'all going in.
I'm here to educate.
Understandable for small business.
We're trying to let them know.
We gotta move on. Good question.
I'm not advocating. I feel like customer service is an important factor, but again, remember, life is about continuous improvement, and sometimes from the places that we fail at, you know, we have to learn and keep on moving. And I just feel like a lot of people have went out of business because those things has truly made them feel inadequate, incompetent, but they were really great at what they did, and they just really needed supports around them that they either didn't know how to get, you know, nobody talked to them about it, talked about them to the community, but never came in and talked to them about it, you know. And so just to our customers, like, all these things are important. You know, at this point in the game, if I had to start it all over, I would build my team before I even started my business.
Right.
Like, I would literally get a loan, hire a coach, hire a marketer, work for about 3 to 6 months to really talk about the product and the service and meet with them every day.
Right. And take that first client. I agree.
Before I took the first client. Like, and so that all those things that we're talking about, these things that we error in our development, in some way we accelerate that process. And I know that seems like a little, you know, like you, but yes,
no, but I agree with you though. So I would
build my team first. before
That's
I
why
even started
I
my
went
service.
in thinking that I was going to do that I was going to work on the business and I was going to set aside anywhere from 3 to 6 months to work on the business. But I was blessed with clients before I even left my full-time job and I just started working. So I know that I fell into that box. If you called me, emailed me in that beginning, I was so everywhere that I'm not even going to lie. Yes, I was that person. I didn't respond in a technically timely fashion. I had people who were contacting me on social media. I haven't even had time to pick up my social media because I'm managing 6 other accounts right now. So I agree with you 110%. But just to our point that we said earlier, it's not about getting it perfect every time, right? It's about learning, growing, and getting better. You'd be surprised how many people were very receptive, even though I missed that opportunity. The fact that I took the time when I did finally have time, even if it was a month later to go back, hey, I just realized I missed this message. I missed this call because you may know for all you know, they may have hired someone and it didn't work out and they already looking for somebody else. You never know. So don't be too big to steal, no matter how much time. Go back and reach out.
You could be better than that first person they called, and they may not
Right.
like that first person they called, and
Right.
they may be like, you know what, let me go ahead and call and say back.
Right.
Let me say this. Let me say this though before we go up. The worst people is relatives, man. Hands down, man. So let's go. Let's go move forward. That's a good one.
Why do you say that? You
Man,
can't
we can switch this thing right now. We can call 100 relatives and we may get one person out. It's crazy.
They're very busy people, though.
Yeah. so let's jump into this thing. That's a hot topic. I can see that's a hot topic there, though. So let's go to this one right here, right? You heard of the 60-40 rule?
Yes.
Okay.
But I would say 80-20.
80-20? Okay, I would say, okay. I say 60-40 rule, right, for well-established business owners. So 60% focus on new clients and 40% on, old clients, whatever the case is, right? That's kind of what I like to do.
That's what you would like to do?
That's what I like to do. I really focus on the people that I actually worked with before. And like you guys were talking about, let's say if you spend $10 on prospecting for new clients, to go back to the old clients, it may cost you $5, right? To do that. You get twice as much for less money. And if you did some service with, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, you go.
If you have already did some service with them, they know how you work. Call them up. They may forgot, or maybe they got a new phone, or whatever. They may lost your information, or hey, I'm just calling, checking up on you guys. How you guys doing, man? You guys, let you know I still over there rocking. Matter of fact, I added some new services to what I got going on, and here, this is what I got going on. If you need me, give me a call. That man, hey, you know what, man? Like just now, it's funny. It just happened just now. Guy just hit me up a few seconds ago. I got to call him when we get off the podcast about my notary service. So it works. It works.
I think
I need to use your notary service, but I think in the industry that I'm in, I will flip that because in working with people and helping them to transform their lives, a lot of times you don't really get, you can get that person the first time, but they're not unpacking their stuff, right? They're just kind of there to listen. So, for me, and I think service industries like coaching and things like that, really making sure your line of sight is longer because the relationship is actually the thing that's revealing more and more and more. Even in bringing Lachey in, it was like that, right? Like I had this conversation with her, like, hey, I want this to be long-term because I keep hiring marketers for projects. And I feel like I have to go into everything we're doing and everything, you know what I mean? But the longer you can stay with me, then the longer you can know my voice and my tone and the messaging and be able to provide that. So, I think that it's definitely industry based in my opinion.
Here's why I want to add to that concept. So a lot of people think that, but when you add in, okay, so what are we getting from the retaining customers, right? It's not necessarily just that relationship. It's the fact that out of 100, 20% is likely to refer someone else. So that's why I say usually it's an 80-20. 20% is likely to buy another service and refer someone else. So it's the cost that you gain from that one person. Usually 20% of your clientele is making up 80% of your revenue, right? You're going to have a good 80% out of your total customers who only do that intro class. And only 20% of the people in that class are going to upgrade to that next package. And only 20% of those people are going to actively refer somebody else and or buy another product. So I think when we think about that 80-20, I'm sorry, I say 80-20 because it's in my head. I use it literally for everything. 80% of which, or 20% of which you do needs to be on sales. 80% needs to be on providing education and value. You're only going to get a real return from 20%. And one point that I wanted to bring out too is it's important to know who, I'm talking by name, your 20% is. That's something that a lot of people miss. They just do these general numbers and they're not tracking and seeing your customers and how much money have they spent with you, how many products. For the majority of, I'll get clients that'll hire me to do a website. Okay, that's one thing. But I've got a good 20% of those who have bought $10,000, $5,000 packages, that monthly residual. You better bet they're getting 80% of my time, because that's the majority of, now do I help a lot more than just that? Yeah, because we're doing things like this podcast. This takes up my time, but you better bet if a paying client call me, guess what?
They call me. Hey, they call me right now. This is what you gonna see.
This is why we have multiple people on the podcast. We got
right. So it's not to say that you don't provide, your attention to everyone or the amount. It's more so that you provide the amount of attention that's deserved to who deserves it. So an intro person, you're not giving them as much as your person who just paid $10K for you to mentor them personally. Coming over to the house, okay, what you want to eat for dinner? We're doing we're spending a lot more time together than someone, even though they're both customers and they're both important, and you do want to have a process for them, but you never know who's going to recognize the ones who have made a major investment into you, the ones who have said, I want to be on your team. You want to recognize that. And I was surprised to see how many major companies, multi-million-dollar companies, have no idea. They're spending all this time trying to bring in all these new customers when just
that's I said Spectrum, they want to give all their free stuff to the new clients. You tell me who the been on your
alert.
I'm already invested in you. Give a little something back to me. And when you do that, just like the girl who only sent cards, thank you, happy anniversary cards, doubled her income, not by spending $2,000 in a Facebook ad, but by taking $100, going to the store, getting some 2-for-1 cards, writing a personal little message, or get yourself a Cricut, pap a pen in that bad boy and make it look like you hand wrote it and sending it over.
For some people, post them on your social media. That's free. Because I work with somebody that does credit repair. So if he has a client that has a really good story, like you said, and has sent the message, thank you, man, post it, and you recognize them, they appreciate you, and you putting it on blast. But yes, it's very minimal. Yeah, I like that. Minimal investment.
So just recognize, know your numbers. We talked about that before, but know the numbers for each of your clients. Know who your 20% is, and think about that little something extra that you can do to show them that you appreciate them, because they are vastly more invested. Your clients who sign up for your coaching program are way more invested in you and will be your biggest cheerleaders versus spending all of your time getting the people who just sign up for the class to leave reviews. These people, they've made a huge financial commitment, so they want to tell everybody about how great this is. So you want to know that, recognize that, in order for you to get the maximum benefit from that. When you don't know those numbers and you don't recognize that, you miss out on so many opportunities. You can't treat all customers the same. You can't treat your day ones like you just yesterday's. Like you can't. You got to know the difference between those people.
And I think that you make a good point. What came up in my spirit was
I love that. I swear, I love that
too. That's the new segue.
So, because listen, when we talk about retention, I think I want to go back to the retention question, because I was really thinking about, so like Jay is in real estate and you sell a house to a person, right? And you're talking about the line of sight for this client. and it is the card because of the referral. When that person now talking to their friend about who should I talk to about getting a house? Oh, you know what? You should talk to Jay. Right? And that is retaining your customer too, because that is a referral. So when Lachey said that, it was just like, oh yeah. So sometimes your retention of your clients is helping you in your referrals, and how you're engaging with your client is helping this individual now to bring you 5, 6, 7 other clients because of the relationship and the things that you are doing with them.
And that's part of the reason why we have the network too, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody called me, hey, you know anybody who does whatever it is that what you guys do? Hey, I know somebody, and give you your information right quick. Yes. And hopefully you guys do it vice versa. That's how we grow each other, man. You know what I'm saying? So I don't do what you guys do. You know, I don't know the beginning of it, right?
That's so true. Yeah. I don't do what you do.
Yeah.
Looking at retention, and I guess I think y'all hear what I'm saying, but I have to say it again. Looking at retention that's in that relationship, like she said, sending that card out and keeping that relationship because of the referral that person can possibly do. Because they may not buy another house from you, you know, because they've been there for 30 years, but they may refer 10 people who are looking to buy houses.
That's a part of the too. Like, you want to know what your referrals are and what you made off of those referrals, because all clients are not created equal. I would rather have one client who refers 10 high-paying clients, even though this person may have only spent $10 with me. That's fine. But that's not the same as someone who bought, never thought about me again, never opened up another email, never anything. The referral business, that is a massively untouched part of customer retention and customer service. And a lot of times it's just simply asking. You don't know how your customer is potentially connected. You don't know if, okay, you gave a cake to this one person for her wedding, but you didn't know she was a wedding planner. And maybe she, after getting married, she took some time off. Now she's back in the business, but she's got all kind of people bombarding her with different, samples and all in her face. But all it takes is for you to reach out to her and say, hey, how did you enjoy service? Please, leave me a survey. Great. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Do you know anyone else who may be getting married soon? I'd love to be able to help them. Actively ask for referrals and track who gives you referrals, because you want to be able to give them that give back or thank you, or hey, Susie Joe just signed up, just thought I should let you know, and I wanted to say thank you so much for letting me know, because people like that, to know that oh, you know what, people like, just like you, Jay, you love being a connector, you love it, you brought me and Sheila together, you love being a person who can put people who have needs together with and of them doing from this. Like, people love that. It's the small things. Sometimes it's not always just financial. It's not always about, I'm going to give you a free gift card or anything like that. It's acknowledging them. I think that that's one of the things that we've lost in this digital world, that people are just so online that you just always are left feeling like a number. But whenever someone just does even the smallest thing to acknowledge you separately from everybody else, they appreciate that. Even if it was an email, let's say you don't feel like old school figuring out where to even purchase a stamp from and send them a piece of mail, but just sending them an email that says, hey, Sheila, thank you so much. I just got a call from so-and-so. She told me that you referred. That means the absolute world to me. Hey, maybe one day I can take you out for coffee, like something simple. If you are a person who deals with local businesses, that word of mouth, that's the reason why I'm a social media marketer who actually didn't start social media marketing for a very long time, because I don't feel bad. All of my clients were word of mouth referrals. By the time I looked up, I had another client and I never even got a chance to post that. When I'm quiet on social media, that's because I'm working and I'm busy getting all of these people and managing their profiles. But it's because I actively ask, hey, how did you like services? What did you enjoy? What didn't you enjoy? Because I'm trying to get better. So I'm finger on the pulse. That's how you get your finger on the pulse. Find out what your audience is going through, what worked, what didn't work. There may be somebody out there who does have their feelings hurt because you didn't answer a phone whenever ago, and maybe you were getting 10 different calls and that call never even came through. That's an opportunity.
I just want to apologize to all the people right now
But no,
Been
it's
answering the phone for.
Don't cut me off, Sheila. I ain't mean it personally.
I've had that happen though. I've had that happen where I reached out
No,
to someone.
I'm being serious because it is become. I'm being serious. Like, hey, I want to apologize to all the people I didn't answer the phone.
Oh
or,
no,
you know,
trust me.
like,
Look,
It's
I
a
wish
thing.
I had something like the small
I'm
business
terrible
podcast.
with emails. So
Like you would
that's
end up
my
on the
thing.
block list almost. Like, oh, you ain't gonna answer my call? Fine. Yo, want my money? Fine.
Well,
Fine. I
wait,
ain't never calling you
wait.
again. It's a thing.
Wait, I'm wondering how Jay feel around 3 women who are just.
Well, hey, where my brothers at, man? They left me out to hang again, man. I don't know what's going on. They got me. They got me.
He was like, I don't know when to stop them. They keep going. They're like, what is? I
But this information,
He knows how to play it.
but this information though, this information is right on point. But if you guys have this much conversation about these topics, right? Think about the other people who's gonna look at this later on. They have conversations about it as well, man. I'm loving it. I make my job easy over here. So
We make it look easy.
Yeah.
That's what we do. That's what we show.
So-
Like, you can't not have this happen with 2 people in marketing. Like,
So I've got a question though. So why is implementation important in business, right? So all this information that we're talking about is not just great to hear it. Why is it important for them to implement everything that we're talking about? You know what I'm saying? Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So let me say this. I want to take this one first. So I have like this high performance thing, and I have 4 stages. It's discovery stage, which is kind of like assessing with strategy, and then I have an implementation stage, and then I have an execution stage. And execution is actually the last stage out. And I know that some people look at implementation as the last stage, but I see implementation as something very different. I see it as this is your testing phase. This is this kind of like the phase where you're seeing how is my audience responding? You know, what do I need to tweak? What is kind of broken in the system? You know, is the emails working? Is the page working, right? And so I'm it's my data stage. It's where I'm collecting data from the strategy that I said I was going to do. I'm testing it out to see what do I need to tweak before I actually execute. And so I feel like implementation is so critical in business because done is better than perfect.
Amen.
And so putting it out there.
Don't hear anything else today.
Just putting it out there.
So better than
get,
perfect.
Yeah, so you can
heard
just.
Lachey said she does social media, Mark. She wasn't doing it in the beginning. It's okay.
Yeah. And then
Sheila
like
Sheila might have missed some phone calls, but she's killing it now. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
it's okay. Right. And I ain't let it stop me.
No.
You know? Yeah. So and listen, implementation. I started that business. I stopped and I implemented that business. And I learned so much though about business, which is why I started a doctoral program in business psychology. I don't know why I thought it was going to be more around business management. I actually learned more about the psychology of business and things like that. But I learned so much just from starting that business. I fell flat on my face, but I learned what I needed because I implemented the idea that I wanted to implement. And I feel like it's so important to do it. Just do it, right?
Just do it.
And I want to piggyback off that statement because I don't know if I misquote, but I'm sure it'll be a good enough quote to get the point across. Because I think I heard something about it. I think it was like Mark Cuban. He won't invest in a company with somebody that hasn't failed a couple times. It's because you learn if you're the right combination of person that doesn't take failure as a loss, you take it as a lesson and you fail and then you get back up and try again. That shows that integrity, that fortitude that you are committed. So it's the failures that define us, but you never know if you're gonna fail if you never implement it because you can't say, "Oh, this ain't gonna work. I ain't gonna do it."
Well, you miss all the shots you don't take.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
You know, and they talked about some. I think it was Babe Ruth or somebody who was like the highest hitter for baseball, but he also had the highest amount of strikeouts. Or so you got to take the shot to even learn. And to me, so in my discovery, strategy, implementation, execution. Implementation is that testing phase. Let me just put myself out here and see, what happens and see what kind of feedback I get. And then I can tweak along the way. And I think it's so important for us as entrepreneurs to know it's always room for improvement. Even when you improve and you are a high performer, you still need to do stuff to stay a high performer.
Yes.
So
continuous improvement.
So I'm gonna rattle off about 3 of these real quick here, because we got a few more minutes here. So the first one is find ways to bring in more revenue in your business, guys. It's important. Find ways to do that. All right. Don't overthink. Think it in business, right? That can be a problem for some people. They can overthink it. Right.
Analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Analysis paralysis.
Raise your prices, margins, guys.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Yesterday's price is not today's price. It's important to do that, man. Especially when you know what you're talking about, and if it's not covering the things that need to be covered, why do it? Right? Why put yourself in a situation to where you can't take care of yourself, your bills, or do other stuff you need to do because you're not charging what you need to be charging. You got to do that, and you got to sell them on. Listen, this is what I do. This is how I'm gonna bring value to you. Right? If it's not worth it to you to pay these prices, you got to go find somebody else who value your services.
And I think that's the point in prices, right? It's really value. And when you see
value, you got to be value.
Price should be equal to the value that you're distributing. And if you're really doing something that's very valuable that a person values, it's okay. It's okay to charge for that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay to charge for that.
This is the throwback here, though. I'm gonna go ahead and add this one, right? So, how important is systems in your business? We know this is important. So, we talk about retention, all that stuff we just kind of ran through. Make sure you put systems in there to where you can do all these things we're talking about. Don't just listen to this stuff, man. Put this in your business so you can do this on a weekly basis, daily basis, or whatever it takes, so that way you can reap those benefits. It's important. And the last one here, guys, is having a business mindset is key.
Amen.
This is a business. It's not a hustle. It's a business. You got to treat it as such.
And it takes time to grow into that. And it's okay if you don't wake up, boom, business mindset. But that's the direction that you need to be headed if you are serious and committed to this thing that you're starting.
And I think a business mindset, it's truly important to business acumen. It's truly important to your industry. Some businesses, when I meet people in business, I think sometimes they don't understand their industry to know the mindset that they need for that particular industry. Does that make sense? And so when we have a business mindset, we also have to understand the industry that we in and have an acumen for that industry.
Okay. Listen, this was a good one here, man.
It was.
Hey,
you battling me down. Talked about.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. What's that?
Is it pausing for anybody else?
It was breaking up.
No, I was just saying, I think that this was a good one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I'm like, I couldn't hear if y'all could hear me or not. But I think that that's one of the things of why certain people will struggle when it comes to businesses is that they are hobbyists, and it's hard to get out of that hobby mindset into an entrepreneur's mindset and know that they're not the same. Although it is good for you to be good at the industry that you're in, you can't get so caught up in your craft that you miss out on the key elements that we've talked about, like customer retention, customer service, marketing, SEO. These things are a part of operating a business that is built to win, that is built to be successful, that is built to last. So you have to make sure that you shift out of that hobby mindset and into a true business mindset, because a lot of people think that, oh, I'm good at this thing and people will pay me to do it, therefore I have a business mindset. that's not what a business mindset is. So I just wanted to make that one point because Sheila definitely highlighted on that. And I think that's so important that people really don't realize they're not the same.
They are not.
Yeah, not the same.
And you know, either you're gonna get your headache in the beginning of the business, or you're gonna get your headache in the end. And I think a lot of what we talk about, the systems, the retention, is things that, as a novice business owner, as a new beginner, you know, these are things that you really want to start thinking about. And I know it's a lot of people that's like, just do it, you know, make the money. And when you're going for the money, you will just start off, but at some point,
It's gonna
hit these blocks. You're going to hit these walls. If it's customer service, how to retain a client, you know, what your marketing is. And so at some point in your business, if you want it to be sustainable, these are some of the conversations that you're going to have to start having so that, you know, so that your business can be sustainable. So either you're going to have them up front, or you're going to get so sloppy in business, so mixed up in business. I think Lachey and I had this conversation. So when we first talked, you know, you talked about the businesses that you were meeting and they were profitable. They was like 7 figures, but they had no systems, and having to go in now and restructure that whole business to create, you know, systems and put them in place. So you would rather do it in the beginning than when you get to 7 figures, because you may be to have the hottest new thing and you jump out there and do it, and now you got a headache, and you know, you walking away from it like, what's old boy name that walked away from the Comedy Central?
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle. You walking away from it like Dave Chappelle because you about to have a mental breakdown because you ain't got no stuff in order. You know what I mean? Now it's a headache. The thing that brought you passionate is now it's bringing you pain because you haven't strategically done the things that you need to do to be a steward over your business.
I would say it's safe to say those people who will be like what's say statistics says how many people, 20% of people will lose their business or business go out of what do you say? In the first year, is it 20% of people go out of business?
I think first year is like
it's heavy, it's higher than that. It's
higher than that, okay, 80% or something like that. If they would implement the stuff we just kind of talked about just now, that number will drop down dramatically. You know what I'm saying? Because I think about it, when I first got into business, a lot of those people, I lost a lot of their contact information and all that stuff. If I would have saved it and be able to go back over that too, oh man.
And that's why I like specializing and working with people that are right there at that gate, because it's like, okay, you're making a transition. Okay, you want to take your side hustle to an entrepreneur. That's when you give them a peek behind the curtain. Or you want all this smoke? It's real smoky over here. And just because I told you that, Jay, where it's like, because nobody's telling them, you know, they see somebody and, oh, they got it. I can do that. I'm as smart as them. I'm as capable as them, but they may not understand the intricacies. And it's not about being intelligent or knowledgeable. It's about knowing yourself, of course, because you have to know what you're capable of and what's in your range. And that's why I really like working with people right at that point, because you go over those and they be like, I just want to bake cakes. And so business ain't for you, boo-boo. Keep it as a side hustle. I can help you make that side hustle consistent, and you know, you ain't got to worry about it. But business ain't for you. If you listen to this podcast and you terrified, you might want to put it on the back burner for another 6 months while you work on your mindset.
Man, big facts.
Well, I just say competence over confidence. You know, to me, that is a great thing. If you're competent at something, stop waiting till you're confident enough to go out and do it. Allow your competency to allow you to flow. Because once you start to talking, like, your words, your energy gonna speak for you, and people are gonna feel like you know what you're talking about. Are you able to solve the problem that I have, right? And so allow your competency to override your confidence, because all of us ain't confident. Like I say, when I get on the podcast, I'm not confident to talk, but I know I'm competent in what I'm talking about. And I'm able to now have a conversation, a legible conversation with you about your problems and things like that. So, you know.
Tastefully fake it till you make it. Tastefully.
Well, listen, man. You guys just received $1 million worth of game for free 99, man. Take it and run with it, man. Hey, man, I really appreciate you guys. Another jump shot made, man. You know what I'm saying? So we hit everyone. You guys hit everyone tonight. So I really appreciate you guys, man. If anything I can do, let me know. Tell them how to reach you guys before we get off.
Meet me at I Am Shaping Solutions on all the social media handles.
And you guys can reach me at Cherish Investments on all major platforms, or you can reach me directly at my website, which is cherish-investments.com.
I gotta give her praise real quick because your social media page is dope. That's all. Because I went after you went, I was like, man, this is fire. Like, man, that is definitely gold right there, man. You know, I'm all about promoting everybody.
What did she say? Because it broke up.
Thank you.
Her IG page, and her IG page is thebomb.com.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's the main one I went to. I was extremely impressed. But I'm Danielle MacArthur, DCD. So you can find me at DCDR Solutions. Like I said, tastefully slide in the DMs.
I love that. Tastefully slide.
Tastefully.
Also, guys, go ahead and jump on that Patreon, man. We have a couple of different levels you can get on. We have the first meetup in the next month. So it's at a secret locations. So you guys want to come, it's going to be some people. Yes. It's not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's for the Patreon members, man. I'm going to get you guys on here for free as well. So, hey, let's go kill it, man. We got the rest of the week, man. Go hit it in the mouth. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I appreciate you guys again. And we'll see everybody next week, man. Salute to you guys.
Bye.
How did you know that? Salute. Danielle.
Peace.
I did that one time and I was like, wait, is that right? I feel like I'm throwing up a sign that maybe I should.
Look,